This is the round table. We're talking about Phase 3 playoffs, all that sort of fun stuff, everything beyond. Getting some mid-laner thoughts on everything that's going on moving forward. Luckily, for me, it would have been tough if one of these teams was not in the Phase 3 playoffs. So luckily, we've got a whole bunch of qualifiers around this table with me. Looking forward to everything Phase 3 playoffs and beyond has in store for these teams. So I'm going to start it off. We'll start broad. I did give you guys a little glimpse into what we're going to be talking about as far as expectations. And so, Paul, I do want to start with you on this. Say the unthinkable happens. Tartarus Titans don't win the Phase 3 playoffs. If you had to look at any other team, do you think you have bets on where the momentum and maybe where your thoughts lie on who's moving in as favorites into the Phase 3 playoffs? In the unthinkable world where the Titans don't win, you're supremely unlucky.
Dude, these questions are so tough, man. Like, what am I supposed to say? Boy. Do I need to answer this?
I guess you don't have to. I mean,
I don't know, dude.
Are we in a spot now where you think every team has a chance?
I
in the right
do
mindset?
think that. I think that, yes. I think it's super close.
Yeah.
I really couldn't.
Do we all agree that Phase 3 playoffs specifically, it feels like the 6 teams we got in there, a decent fighting chance for everyone any given weekend?
I mean, it does sort of feel that way, especially with how, like, I don't know, healing metas are always so volatile, I feel.
Sure.
So.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting conversation maybe we can move into. If everyone feels like anyone can win on any given day. Do you disagree?
No, yeah, I kind of agree.
What's in the hand?
I don't agree.
You don't need to overanalyze everything that I do. What are you, my therapist or something?
No, of course not. That's a little head tilt, little hand wag.
Yeah.
And that seems like a disagree.
You
might as well throw the thumbs down in my face.
It seems like an overanalyzation. That's what it seems like to me.
Well, I'm not an analyst, so I don't do that.
Not a good one.
Correct.
That's what you're supposed to be used to in this segment.
Okay.
Oh, boy.
So if everyone completely disagrees, doesn't think anyone's going to win.
No one will win.
No one. We all lose. It feels like in the past, specifically around this time of year, especially moving into qualifiers, late phase playoffs, worlds, you do get kind of distinct meta changes, teams feeling one way or another. In the past, it's been maybe healing meta and like objective confirmed style mid laner meta. Do you get the sense that we're starting to shift in that direction now, getting towards the end of the year? A meta change maybe around the mid lane, teams feeling like healing objective secure is more valued than it has been the rest of the year?
Yeah, well, like things that are frustrating for like a majority of the people on the team, so like a mid laner who has healing and is hard to kill is just going to be like a really big focal point of like conversation for a lot of teams. So I think people will gravitate towards that, whether or not it's like super meta defining, like you can't go away from it. I don't know, but
sure,
you're definitely going to see more of it, I think.
How about you, Shinta? Do you think you're sensing a shift in mid lane meta going into the tournament style of play towards the end of the year here?
So for Worlds, it might change with this patch coming out in a couple of weeks. But yeah, I'm pretty sure the playoff is gonna be like the same.
Yeah, I think
Healer
playoffs.
meta and Lorus abusing and Stonefall maybe.
I think you'll see not much switch up in playoffs, but after that, I think there's plenty of room for new stuff.
Sure. Well, I am always curious because, you know, we kind of ease into the different style of play in the playoffs in the sense that, you know, phase 1, 2, and 3 do the best of threes, and we have those phase 1 and 2 playoffs. Phase 3, we have these group stages, best of 5s. Now you get into tournament style play. Paul, as a player, you start going into these tournament brackets. How does the game feel different to you when you're playing in a tournament match versus say, a best of 5 in like the group stages?
I don't know. It's kind of like the same to me. I mean, I guess more is on the line because of like the cash prize or whatever compared to like seeding points. So it's a bit more important. But I mean, other than that, you should still just be like playing like just how you normally play.
Right. Do your best to keep a level head. Harry, when do you feel like you notice a difference in mentality from best of 5s in tournament matchups versus more of a group stage style thing?
Yeah, I think if your team has their stuff together, everyone wants to win, like maybe just a slight bit more. For the most part, everyone's trying to win, like pretty consistently throughout like most of the year, regardless if it's a tournament or not. And if you like change your mentality too much, you might get like nervous or like overthink things.
Right.
The big difference is everyone there's a lot more prep that goes into like one specific like best of 5, you know?
Yeah.
Like we know who we're gonna play first round 2 weeks from now, so obviously like a lot of our practice is gonna be geared towards that. So.
Right. Shito, I think the Leviathan, specifically talking about tournament matchups, has been an interesting topic of conversation throughout the last couple of years. Moving into Phase 3 playoffs, do you feel like the Leviathans are more equipped now to do better in, say, the Phase 3 playoffs moving forward into Worlds? Do you think you're a stronger team now in a tournament-style game than you have been throughout the rest of the year?
Yeah, it's been tough. The tournament, like the important tournaments, it's been tough for us. But right now with Sandman, I'm pretty sure we're better. We're better for like tournament and that type of stuff. So yeah, we're coming prepared.
Boosting up at the right time. And Veronik, kind of rounding out your thoughts on tournament style matchups, maybe specifically for you as a player, still getting used to the SPL level of tournament style play. How do you feel like you and the rest of your team are preparing going into Phase 3 playoffs? Been a lot of tough matchups, a lot of longer sets. You feel like the emotions and everything will be in check come tournament time?
Well, yeah, I mean, you'd hope the 5 players on our team are kind of like level-headed at that point and kind of ready to go. But I think, as Tyler said, like there's a lot more targeted like preparation going into these. So, I mean, yeah, it could open up like new stuff that we haven't seen like in groups or whatever. So, and I feel like, I mean, I've on the console side of things, and even when we competed against like SPL teams as a console team on Hypena coming in, I mean, I feel like I already have like that experience under my belt too. So, I mean, I'm not as like pressured, I feel, as other rookies.
Yeah,
maybe,
plenty of past experience in big matchups for sure. I think that does raise an interesting topic of conversation. I sat down actually with a few members of your respective teams a few weeks ago, and we were talking about this. I want to get your angle on it. In best of 5 sets, especially moving into playoff style formats, do you guys feel like there is a fatigue aspect in longer sets that could set in, that your team, other teams may be stronger or weaker at handling?
I would say that for the most part, that's pretty negligible. Sure. I think like between games, sometimes like you can kind of like stew in like the length of the set. But once the games start, I feel like most players will say like it's just kind of, you don't even think about it. You just kind of play the game that's in front of you. And like the length of the set, like it kind of usually, for me personally, the set's over and then it kind of like washes over me if I was like tired or whatever. And then like if I was like, my adrenaline was going or whatever, it'll just like hit me at the end. But like while it's going, you just don't really notice that much, I don't think.
Right, when you're in it, you're in it.
Yeah.
When you're out.
Maybe if it was like a best of 11, I don't know.
How long would a best of 11 set of Smite take?
I basically played that on one console LAN against, we played a best of 3 to start off the day, and then we had a bracket reset like right after that. So I played so much Smite in one day.
There's been a lot, we won't go down this rabbit hole, but there have been talks about changing the structure of things moving forward. I always think of like the grand finals, whoever's in the winner's side, if they get reset in a best of 5, then you're playing a whole nother best of 5 in a bracket reset. That is a lot of Smite. That is a lot of Smite to play.
I don't think I want to do that
Which
again.
we would all love to play.
Yeah?
We would all love to play that much Smite.
Look, 5 more games of Smite sounds pretty sweet to me.
As it should.
You know, I actually don't think I don't think I'm physically equipped to handle that. I think my voice would give out on me by the time we're dipping our toes into the second best of 5. Shinto, how about you? These longer best of 5 sets, do you ever feel any aspects of fatigue or emotions and the mental relatively kept in check?
No, I feel like you are just like thinking about the game and playing the game. You are not like worried if you are like fatigued or something.
Yep.
And just take one game at a time.
And that's something Aurora, I think, echoed a lot of what Shinto was saying. Do you feel like, Paul, you look at the Titans as a team, a lot of your sets have been quick recently, but in a longer set, do you feel like Aurora is kind of the one who would step up and rally the troops in a lengthier set?
I feel like everyone's pretty in a longer sets. Everyone's pretty
right.
What's the word? Just like focused. So
Right.
I mean, these guys pretty much summed it up pretty well, I'd say.
Sure, fair enough. I think the next aspect of these tournament style weekends that we have coming up are the in bracket buys, and I feel like there's an argument to be had here, where of course it's nice to be given a buy later on into the tournament, right? But on the flip side of the coin, you don't get that like first round warm up earlier on in the weekend. Does anyone have strong opinions on whether or not you think it's an advantage to have a bye into a later round versus having to play early on in the tournament?
You're not gonna believe this, but I have a strong opinion.
You?
Yep.
No
me.
chance. You've insulted me already, so let's hear what your opinion on bye rounds is.
Okay. Thank you. No, I mean, I think from like looking at the whole picture, it definitely seems like the team that gets the warm up like has like more of an advantage.
Right.
But you're kind of like taking out of the picture that you have to like win that whole extra set. You kind of forget that a whole extra team is losing there as well.
Right.
So I think like overall, you'd probably rather have the bye in general. But if you could like if you knew you were gonna win the first set for sure,
Right.
then it's probably better. But you don't. So that's why I don't think it's better, and then you'd rather have the bye in general.
Right.
Plus, some teams, it just depends on the team too, because sometimes the first team that plays has like a really one-dimensional like way of drafting and picking that the team that's waiting with the bye can like plan around the night before.
Sure.
In a way that gives them a pretty major advantage. But then again, the team that's waiting might not put any respect on what they're doing, so it gets kind of complicated in that aspect.
And I think in this specific scenario, like, we'll be on the same patch, and clearly what these two teams have been doing has been working the best. So, like,
Yeah.
I think you're feeling pretty good having a bye, and, like, I mean, yeah.
Well, with how competitive everything is, having to play more very close-knit games of Smite may be difficult. Paul, you get a bye here. You have any
Yeah.
thoughts on this?
We have a bye, but I saw a good point. Just from like if somebody was watching the tournament and saw the bracket, if let's say for instance your favorite team would be like us or Leviathans,
Sure.
it's single elimination, right? So all it could be is one set for the tournament for your favorite team, and it could just get eliminated, which is the same for the first round as well. But what was I?
Maybe
I
as
swear
far
there's
as
a
like
point behind it.
viewership and like fans getting to watch the team less.
Yeah. Honestly, I was thinking that, but I guess everyone it's single elimination, right? So it doesn't
Right.
matter if you get eliminated first round.
Do you
All
feel
right,
like
carry on.
competitively, as a competitor, do you feel like you miss out on the warm-up game? I say warm-up. They're all very competitive. But
I guess, yeah, the warm-up game.
I think
that's
what
true.
you're trying to say is, like, you're already in semifinals, so, like, you're not necessarily heavily favored to, like, just automatically win that set, so you can, like, potentially just see your favorite team, like, play one set and they're out. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Pretty much.
As in to where, like,
Yeah.
if it was an 8 seed bracket, you're obviously
You
one
have more
versus
games
8,
to play,
right?
yeah. Instead of
So,
just, like,
yeah.
your favorite team wins. Yeah, thank you
Yeah.
for that. Your favorite team wins, because I was thinking, I was like, am I trolling? Yeah, your favorite team wins one game, you're already in the finals, so.
Yeah, that's it.
Shinto, you're the other team with the bye here, going into the Phase 3 playoffs moving forward. Do you echo the thoughts of the other dudes around the table, or you think?
Yeah, I'm agreed, but I think have a bye week is good too, because you're gonna see what the other teams are playing in the meta, and you are more prepared to like what
Sure.
the team is gonna do in the semifinals.
I'm curious as far as prep goes, leading up into events like this. Hurrywin's already talked about. You know way ahead of time, at least who you're playing going into the Phase 3 playoffs. Scrim-wise, I can't imagine, I mean, and you tell me if I'm wrong, do you spend a lot of time scrimming teams if you are playing them in the first round, or do you feel like one way or another that's giving your hand, they probably feel like it's maybe showing their hand, and you just kind of show up on game day after not having played them in a few weeks? Do you scrim the team that you're playing in the Phase 3
No
playoffs?
one does that.
Yeah.
Never. I can't remember the last time people did that.
Yeah.
There were scrim partners like long time ago, but those guys were always like, it was like Cog and Cog Red, and they were the best two teams on opposite sides anyway.
Right. So I guess going into it, that's a big, I guess, focal point of these longer sets is it almost feels like a micro meta forms within each individual set themselves. Maybe game one teams come in with a certain mindset, and as the set goes on, you have to be able to adapt to either what worked right or didn't work right for you, what the other team brought to the table, what they didn't bring to the table. Do you feel like, especially going into later on in the year, each team comes in with what they think is the right way to play the game, and then whoever's more adaptable generally wins out in these best of 5 sets?
It's always different, honestly.
Do you think it changes by team?
I think it changes by team. I think it changes by meta. Like,
Sure.
it's hard to say. Like, there have been times when people have like stood their ground and played the same way the whole tournament and won. There have been times when people like bold rival just pull out something different, like every new best of 5, and like just continually adapt the whole tournament. It works out. So,
How about this year? Do we feel the meta is more set?
that's a great question, Dave.
We'll see.
What is that leaking? Are we?
If I could tell you the answer to that, I'd be Nostradamus. I don't know.
Are you not Nostradamus?
I mean, I'd like to think so, but
Fair enough. No, according to MIF, Jean-Claude Van Damme is a fantastic French philosopher. So maybe you're him. We'll call you Jean-Claude Van Damme.
okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Well, hopefully we'll get some of these answers. Phase 3 playoffs just a couple weekends away. I'm going to go to each of you, kind of final thoughts on your team moving into to the Phase 3 playoffs. I'll give you a second to gas yourself up. I won't make anyone guess who's going to win.
Okay.
Don't you worry. Or maybe you can tell me why you think your team is going to win. Paul, I have to imagine, Group B, Titans felt comfortable in that group. Where do you think your team's strengths lie, and why do you think you have a good shot at winning the Phase 3 playoffs?
I just think my entire team's like really solid players mechanically, but I'm not going to jinx anything. I think anyone could win.
Right, we can knock on wood.
So I will knock on wood. I'm not going to jinx anything. I think anyone could win.
Anyone can win. But we're adaptable, we're good, we're strong,
Yeah.
we're confident.
We're
Hurrywin?
Yeah, I certainly think it should be a really competitive tournament. I don't think there's going to be any like stomps or bad games, so
Right.
that's always like good and exciting. I think there's a lot of doomsayers, and we've kind of like been on a downtrend this like back half of the year, but everyone on our team is like perfectly confident in one another, and we've got some time, and we've been working on an identity that works for us, and I don't think anyone should be surprised if we show up and win the tournament as well.
Sure. What's that meta going to be? Just kidding. Shinto, how about you? The Leviathans trending upwards going into the Phase 3 playoffs. What do you think your team is doing well right now?
Yeah, I mean, I can agree with the guys. Whatever team can win the tournament, and I don't know. I'm just so excited to play in the studio. I just hate play at home, so yeah,
Yep.
I'm so excited.
It's the best time of year.
Yeah.
Playoffs might. Veronic round us out here. The Scarabs, they've competed with effectively every team in the league over Phase 3, go to 3-5 games with them all. I imagine the team is coming in with maybe a chip on their shoulder, but with the confidence that you can beat anyone.
I think it's fair to say we're like the clear underdogs in the whole tournament, but at the same time, I think we've given ourselves enough confidence with, as you said, like taking plenty of games off of basically every top team.
Yep.
So that kind of also can push us and give us the confidence that
Sure.
that really anyone can take this tournament on any given day. To be honest,
Look,
it's just whoever shows up,
Season
wakes
8
up and plays better. And
Absolutely.
yeah.
Whoever shows up any given Sunday, that's the NFL mentality.
Yeah, especially in studio games.
Right.
It's all about just who shows up better that day.
Whoever shows up. Look, Season 8 has been a very competitive year. Seen a lot of back and forth all throughout it. All that and more gets decided in the Phase 3 playoffs just a couple weekends from now, and then more storylines to build up moving forward based on that. Appreciate all you guys sitting down with me, talking all things playoffs and late season Smite. Everyone else, stick around. We got more 1v1s and then the end of the show.
Hey, wait, what did it win?
You win the respect.
You're telling me an alien wore this?
Perfect. Okay, that was a good cut.
Messaging him to mute.
The best graphics you really need, Ultra, of course, and I can probably watch a stream on the side.
Content's gonna look good.
Pretty good, pretty good.